Sex, Cuss and Web. Priyanka Sinha Jha, entertainment editor, critic, curator, author and co-founder. The talkative. Can we have you on stage, ma'am, please? Monica Shergill. Up next, Chintan Ruparel, co-founder and chief content officer, Terribly Tiny Tales. On stage, please. आनंद तिवारी, मेरे भाई के बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं. आ जाओ आनंद, फाउंडर स्टिल एंड स्टिल मीडिया कलेक्टिव. हाउ यू आनंद? बिग फैन, कैसे हैं आप? And next, creative director, the viral fever, Biswapati Sarkar, please. And now, Nimisha Pandey, head of content, Alt Balaji. And Pinakin Thakkar, CEO, Nirvana Digital.
Okay, so my God, the hall is entirely packed. And I'm wondering if it has got something to do with this very catchy title. Guys, anyone turned up because of the title?
All turned up here for the free food, that's why.
That too. But then they'll be outside.
We've had a good meal.
We actually are happy that people turned up after lunch. हमको लगा ही नहीं था कोई आएगा.
But
That's because everyone's sleepy and like she rightly said, it's the title that's going to wake people up.
So we keep saying sex.
Sex.
And every 2 minutes of people.
there was this joke that a wife, every time she wants the husband's attention, like she said, okay, now I'm going to say sex after every 3 words. Now that I have your attention, this is what it is. But I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's because of these wonderful panelists, very accomplished, and all of who have a very deep experience in the web content space. And I can't wait to hear what they have to say on this subject. Obviously, we have very little time, so without much ado, I'm going to start with you, Monica. What I want to know is that, the web space is fairly liberating because in some ways, it's a very personal way of watching things. You can watch it on your phone, you can watch something on your laptop, so you don't have to worry about every time there's a scene, intimate scene, and you're watching it with the rest of the family. Compared to television, is this a space which allows different kinds of content to be displayed without censorship or any such?
Actually, I think all of us are really aligned on that through experience of having watched television, made television for so many years, that that is a one-to-many medium, and this is a one-to-one, very personalized experience. So yes, very rightly, what you can communicate, what you can make, it's meant for different niches of audience. Every different set of audience will be able to find their own kind of content. So I think that liberation for creators and also for consumers of content is very, very precious. And in all of that, coming back to, like you said, the subject that we are speaking about, it's both, I feel that at one level, it's extremely liberating to be able to portray things in the manner that they should. When we speak to our friends, our colleagues, and, there's a certain manner of speaking. We are very open about certain things, but when we're making content on television, we are extremely cautious because you could be watching it with 3 generations of people in the same room. So since that is not there, the sense of liberation is there. Of course, that sense of liberation has to be used with a little bit of, you have to be conscious about the responsibility that you have, because media, like I think Vishu said very rightly, and he started very beautifully with the teachers, his teachers that he spoke about. And I feel that media is our most powerful teacher. So it's very important for all of us creators to be conscious of that.
That's an interesting thing that you say about being conscious, you know. And here I'm going to move to the two people that I think everybody wants to hear from, Anand and Biswapati. As content creators and early adapters of web content, was there anything that you kept in mind when you set out? Like when you saw that people were responding well to certain kinds of content, was that ever a conscious thought in your mind that, okay, you know, because as it would suggest, there's a formula emerging in web content that you can be profane, you can have sex, and it's cool, right?
I don't think we functioned on any kind of formula. And in fact, Bishwa and I were having a chat before this that the great thing about the internet is that the response is so immediate. It's almost, we were talking about it, it's like theater where you perform and you get a response absolutely immediately, right? And here you can talk to your audience right away. So yes, you are able to adapt depending on the response that you get, but never are you trying to create a formula. If you want to do well, you should never follow formulas. You're never trying to create or bottleneck your idea into a formula. As far as using sex or cuss words is concerned, I think it's more a question of whether one sees the necessity of it in a given content rather than just because it might get you a few eyeballs to watch.
Yeah.
In my case, I grew up writing web. Basically, the only form of writing I know is for web.
For web.
And there was never this formula, but I think 5-6 years back, we were just all discovering the possibilities. So the idea was that there were a lot of things which we as a generation believed in, which the mainstream media did not talk about at all. Like, for example, if there is a reality show which unanimously we feel that should be made fun of, but was treated very seriously. So when we started making fun of it and people responded, so we knew immediately there's an audience for it. And again, regarding sex and cuss words, I think it depends on, like, as a creator, I would say it depends on the authenticity of the story I'm saying. Right. If it is a Gangs of Wasepur, characters will cuss. If they don't cuss, it'll look odd.
It'll be weird.
It'll be inauthentic. So as long as it is required in the story, then I think it's fine. Right. And never have we ever tried to, take advantage of the fact that cuss words dalne se kuch hi hoga. Of course, certain jokes probably get elevated, but apart from that, I don't think there was a conscious decision ever to do something because of the shock value of it.
Yeah, this is something, I think in the early days of the internet, like, the clickbait sort of thing where you would put something which was misleading and then people would click on it expecting something else.
It used to be Sunny Leone Smooth Scene. There was the title and there used to be a thumbnail of Sunny Leone. You click on it, it's just a dog video. It's a simple dog video, but somebody just put that clickbaiting thumbnail to get views. So
yeah, I think that thankfully is a thing of the past. But coming to Pinaki and Chintan, do you guys see demand for a certain kind of content which is more on the digital, which there's a skew towards any particular kind of content that you see?
If the topic is sex, then there's a lot of demand for it. There's porn for a reason. But even good porn has a story. There's a leaking tap and the plumber comes and there's more leakage after that. But yeah, that's the point. I just think in this context, sex is like technology. Without an idea or a story, it's nothing.
Right.
So if you read the story, package it correctly. Like imagine in the Sacred Game series, if they would have released a trailer with just Nawaz doing his doggy thing and said, watch this. No, they just went with the story. And I think that is the right way to package it as a story. And then, as Biswapati said, the character is like that. If he's a Don and he is this maniac, whatever, he'll have his power trip with women in bed.
Sure.
It just comes. So
it has to be authentic to
the
the context. Pinakin, you wanted to make a point.
So, as long as it's not force-fed, like he said, there's no fixed formula. Clickbait is a pattern that we've noticed, and it's not, I'll give a more real example where there's a picture of a bhabi and a devar, which is, a typical scene that India loves. And, the video inside actually just had them having a decent conversation about what is to be made for dinner. Right. But the thumbnail was actually her, lifting her pallu this way. So
okay.
So that kind of clickbait is cool. Now what's actually happened is that it's uncool to have that kind of clickbait, and people have understood that. So they're like, bhai, tum chu mat banao. tell us what it is. We are coming to watch it because we know what it is. We know where this has been clipped from.
Right.
So it's important not to force feed it. Just because there's an individual creator, there is some kind of content that is made where he's using, like you guys said, sex every 3 words or a bad word every 3-4 words. It's not going to make it popular.
Right.
It's a reality of life. Everyone does cuss. Everyone does discuss sex, but it doesn't need to be force-fed.
Yeah, without saying chew. So yes, we were not using cuss words without the use of them. So I mean, yeah,
Correct.
chew.
Wherever it's needed. You could have said it. This is just a panel to sort of say it out loud. But Nimisha, tell me, on a digital platform like Alt Balaji, what is, or Monica, even for you, what is the filter that you have when you're picking out content? What are the kind of stories that you would rather choose for a digital platform as opposed to, say, television, which is the more conventional platform? Nimisha, please go.
See, sex definitely sells. Okay.
There you go.
The phenomenal success that Gandhi Baat has seen on Alt Balaji, it's just crazy. But like you very rightly said, I mean, it can get viewers to sample content, but it can't make them stay. And when it's really all about retaining audiences, keeping loyalties, then you have no option but to really rely on the meat of other kind.
Yeah.
And you really have to rely on the story and characters, and that of course brings us to the stories that digital says. I mean, it actually, Monica just spoke about being liberating for the creators and consumers. Consumers in a big way, because with all this data that now is coming our way, it makes us realize that when people know that nobody is watching what they are
They're very
watching,
different, yeah.
then what are they watching? And it's really fascinating, and on a panel or on discussions, nobody will really admit what they are watching. But guess what? We have data now.
So what are people really watching?
What are people watching, Monica?
I think we should be asking the people what are they watching, but I think
With
people
the
are
data
watching
that-
all, yeah, I think people are watching all kinds of content, yeah. I'm very sort of excited about looking at the granular data when you actually see it. The journeys that people have from one piece of content to another on the platform is a very, very interesting journey to see. They've come in for something, but then they move to something else, they click on something else. So that really tells you, about the profile of consumers that's coming. And the same consumer is actually consuming many different pieces of content. So it's not that people just come for a particular kind of content which is, driven through some clickbait or sex-oriented content. That's not true at all, actually. People are really, and I would say that those were early days, We've all seen the YouTube, sort of the initial, because we were so closed in what could be made and what could be shown on television, that of course there was bound to be this sudden burst of, a lot of,
this
absolutely.
particular type of content.
Yeah, and I think that kind of freedom and liberation produced so many great pieces of content on YouTube, that all the creators have made. And within that, of course, there would be a lot of, usage of liberal language, abusive language, and sex and stuff. But that's okay. I think we are maturing. It's very, very early days. We've already, started maturing so very quickly in the kind of content that's coming out now. So.
Yeah, I think you have more granular data on your viewer, like as opposed to like women watch this and that's all that they watch,
yes,
right?
absolutely.
Because,
Very,
I mean,
yeah.
now you have deeper data than that.
No,
and
absolutely. Last mile measurability. You can completely look at the profiles of the registered consumers. You understand that, and where else are they watching what. So you could.
Also with the kind of stories that you guys had, like, Pappu, Papa, sex, Bang,
Sex
Baza,
chat with Pappu
Barat,
Love,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and, pictures and all of that, very different kinds of stories which we had not seen on television or in movies to that extent. What is it that you find now that, can you experiment with more ideas? Which are the kind of stories that have not been told that are exciting you, or the different kinds of platforms that are open to such stories?
I think Bang Baja, the time it came, it did very well because there was no competition around it. Today, there are so many slice of life love stories that are being told. Today, I think Bang Baja would have had to be marketed much more aggressively. It would have had to had I don't know, like a campaign for about 2 months. It just dropped on a Monday, right? Today we can't afford to do that because there's just so much content out there. I think if you're able to be true to what you want to say, there will always be an audience out there. So whether you truly want to make content which has erotism, go out there and make it. Whether you really want to make a content which needs to have cuss words, go out there and make it. If you really want to make a heartfelt stories, go out there and make it, because there will be people to watch it. When we did Girl in the City, this lovely show that we did with Disney, at that point, the content that was working was, everybody told us in analytics that, only male-driven content is watched on the internet. And a slice of life, a girl coming from Dehradun, this content nobody's going to watch because it's not fitting the TG. We discovered a
young
completely
millennials, male.
Exactly, and from small town India. And that completely broke that myth. It was one of the best doing shows on Facebook, in fact. So I think today, as content creators, is like a golden phase, right? We are on the curve up.
Right.
I don't know how long this curve will keep going up, but we are on the curve up. So the idea is to not necessarily getting yourself bogged down. And of course, the last mile, detectability really helps. But you tell a story that you want to tell, because that's the only unique way you can tell it. Any other way of formalizing it will be very difficult.
But is irreverence something that, the web has introduced us to? Especially in India, we were just talking about that, the
I
comedy
honestly
scene.
don't know whether it's irreverence or not, but say, for example, like you mentioned pictures, like one thing which we were talking about while developing this show is कि the only form of businessman we had seen in films or TV was like कि आज मैं business के सिलसिले में शिमला जा रहा हूँ. That's all we knew about कि ये अच्छा ये businessman है और ये है. तो of course the fear was कि लोगों को समझ में आएगा या नहीं. But if you're watching the story of the presidential staff of an American president and people are getting it. So if you try to make people understand, they'll get it. So I think, like he rightly said, ki, like in my early days, and of course occasionally I still do, I still go and see what people like to watch and whatever. But the ultimate thing is that as a writer, you can only focus on the story that you want to say and make it as real and as authentic as you want it to be. Apart from that, all of that, you can have data, you can use it, here and there a little bit tweaks, but I don't think that can influence the soul of the story. That has to come from within a creator. That's the only thing.
Yeah, authenticity, I think, is key, no matter what. And the good thing is it allows you to be authentic in whichever space you choose to be.
And I think yes, I mean, the internet in general is giving us a sense of a freedom to be irreverent, right? And that's also been reflected across media. If you see, our content in films is changing. Right. The kind of irreverence we have for our heroes is changing. Our heroes are slightly more goofballish now than they were ever before. Yeah. They're not always the Maryada Purushottam Rams. They are grey characters now. So I think irreverence is becoming a part of a culture which I don't know whether the chicken or the egg came first, but it's become something that is a part of the culture that maybe the web influenced, but I don't know where the origin lies to that.
But even in the mainstream, stories are changing. Like we're talking about small towns, we're talking about more details of stuff. Like I don't know, a lot of subcultures are still left in India to explore that like, I think before a lot of web shows came out, I hadn't heard the word, say, ki IIT, ya IIM. I haven't heard those words because, of course,
someone happened.
Yeah.
At that time,
But
when
even in the
initially
film,
Chetan was pitching for the book, people found it too elitist. And then eventually, of course, Three Idiots happened. And
yeah,
thank
even
God for it.
IAS, UPSC, coaching, I've never seen a character study in real life. I've never seen any film. I haven't seen him like I think today only the poster of Super 30 came out. Right. This is a story of a guy who's teaching 30 kids every year for an IIT entrance examination, and this story wouldn't have come out 5 years back. And I think it's only probably because of the internet also, things are changing.
This is my observation, but I could be wrong. I feel that the writing itself, I think digital has changed that equation to a large extent, because, there are people like you who are writing, who are acting, who are directing, which was, it's unheard of. Very few actors write their own parts. They can make suggestions in movies I'm talking about.
I never write my own part. I never act in anything I
Do
write.
you like, but how are your
never,
lines?
Ever.
But you write the stories of the movies that
I do,
the shows
yes,
that you
yes.
direct. And what about you at TVF? How does that work?
Can you please repeat?
Do you write, some of the sort of shows and your
Again,
parts that you're part of?
I hate writing for myself, but it's usually like whenever I'm cast in something and then I read the script and I'm like, okay. So I am a writer first. So I think they cast me because they need a few changes in the script at times. So I have to fix it and then
ये
only.
सेट पे बैठ के कर लेगा.
हाँ, कुछ तो करेगा ये रात को जग के कुछ तो कर.
We'll have a chat outside the room. Right?
Done.
The most famous thing he does, somebody else writes for it. He just takes that writing forward.
Of course.
See, the thing is, it's accessibility. Today, the audience has changed. Like you said, even mainstream goofball characters are acceptable. The point is that because a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old has access to content that is not defined by TV. This is a lean-forward medium, right? You're searching for what you want. At 12 or 11, or maybe in the 70s or the 80s, I don't know if it was encouraged to go and look at a makeup tips video. Today it's allowed. Today they can go and look for it. So if people are accepting it, that's why there are creators. That's why the thought process has changed. That's how the audience has changed. Data alag. Whatever you're saying, keep it real, is true. But it's not only from content that is created in terms of fiction, but even real creators. People adapt to or they connect with the personality of the creator, not only the content. They can relate to her. And that itself wasn't there as a platform or as an opportunity earlier.
Right. I think one of the findings that people often repeat is that identity content, which is like Delhi Girl or Bangalore Boy, these kind of things really work well on the internet. And probably that comes from the fact that there is so much user-generated content and they bring so much of themselves to what they're putting out.
So I think like when, say, in a college fest, if I go on and I can take local jokes of the college, it works. So in the same way, if I take the internal jokes of a state, it works within that state. And anybody from that state or from that city will relate to it. So it's just that on a massive scale.
Absolutely.
I also feel that where subjects are concerned, how we write them is one thing, but selection of subjects.
Right.
The kind of liberation that you have through the medium, through the streaming medium. For instance, there's a show of ours called It's Not That Simple. We would have never ever thought that we would be able to tell such a story of Swara Bhaskar had played that role, and we are coming out with the season 2 of that. So the story essentially was about a woman in a toxic marriage, and she decides to have an affair while she is in the marriage because that is a way of discovering herself. She doesn't have the guts to walk out of the marriage, and then suddenly she realizes that she can be seen as an attractive person too, and she goes ahead.
I just want to interrupt you
And-
here.
And
on
it's
the
a
same
very
thing.
nuanced manner of bringing that story out, which the web allows us. We would never ever be able to tell such a story because she would be, sorry to use that term, I hate this word, but she would be called a slut on TV. She would be the Komalika of TV. But she is actually the Meera of a web series. There's a reason why she's that.
But see, that's the
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to ask the both of you, is that why is it there were so many things on television which you considered that this cannot be done on television? And obviously, I think the web has sort of broken that tyranny to a large extent in terms of the way you watch it, whether it's binge watching, or what can you do with your characters, what is allowed and what is not allowed. Do you feel that that's changing in television also with the impact of web content?
No, absolutely. I think television also is attempting to tell many different stories. For many, many years, television sort of got very formulaic. And in streaming, the minute you start repeating the same idea, you cannot. In fact, that is blasphemy. You cannot keep redoing what you've done successfully once. So in that sense, the two mediums are different. But television has also, really, honestly, television has led to a lot of liberation of women also. So let's not really think that it's all been regressive.
Not to argue
Yeah.
about regressive or not. It's, nothing
Correct.
wrong if people want to watch that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that this compartmentalization or this formula that this can be done on television and this cannot be done, is that breaking now to a certain extent because of web
like
content?
Monica said, it's about consuming it with somebody versus consuming it independently, right? Entire family watching a story of an extramarital affair of this woman and hence taking a higher moral ground versus you supposed to just stop?
It's okay. Finish what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so
we could just
we could-
imagine that we are in the Oscars ceremony and
Yes.
the music suddenly starts.
So yes, very quickly, just finish what you were saying.
Yeah,
and
so,
yeah.
I mean, when you know that this is what, like I said, nobody's judging you for watching this, and you're
Right.
comfortable watching it without feeling bothered about the company you're watching in,
Right.
then you can just be more experimental with the stories that you're choosing to tell and watch.
So no judgments, but what's the next big trend? Anybody wants to take that? What's the next big trend?
I'm actually very intrigued by what she's saying because if what I'm discovering here is that we have two sets of moralities, and that's probably true for India, that we have a separate set of
absolutely,
morality for ourselves when we are alone, and I'm hoping the next big thing is that we have the same set of moralities that we have when we are alone, that we are not shy, we are not, feeling that we're doing something wrong when we're watching something that we really do feel like watching, and if we live in that utopian world that I just said, that'll be great.
That is so well
That's when a
said.
mass medium will be able to take strides ahead and tell those kind of stories.
Great. So I think we are done. But questions from the audience, quickly? Yes, please.
So our moderator, we just have 1 minute more to go.
Okay,
Otherwise,
so
they'll
just
crucify
that-
me, they'll kill me, and a car will run over me.
So we'll just take that one question and we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I feel that the tagline which was there, Ganda hai par danda hai, I'd like all of you to actually comment on that. Is that sex sells, but does it actually translate into much more viewership and money?
So the two ladies
From-
here would be
yeah.
able to answer that. More viewership.
More viewership and more money. Like
More
if
money.
you have more viewership coming in, does it actually translate into the tagline of this entire masterclass which we've had?
Sex does sell. Porn has shown that.
No,
right?
as
So
far as
we
web
don't
series
need
is
to,
concerned and the web content which
sorry?
India is, as far as web series is
You know,
concerned,
to an extent, I think it's really overhyped that sex sells. People are looking for a lot of good, meaningful content also, and so that is what we need to focus on. Of course, sex will sell. I mean,
what
that
about
I have no doubts.
Balaji?
No, like I said, that it can help you with sampling, but it will not retain audiences.
Yeah, but if the content is good and there's a good dosage of sex, does the continued viewership retain?
Of course, yeah, I mean,
Fine.
Game
I
of
think
Thrones has
sex
shown
there
us
is
that.
no
is
denying
established,
that.
but within a certain context, I guess. And time's up, so
Thank you.
you can have this conversation outside. Thank you very much. Thank you
you,
for
thank
being
you.
a lovely audience.